Hi guys, it's Rosemary. I am here today to talk about the 5 worst symptoms, in my personal opinion, of CRPS. Now, there are many symptoms you can have, and you can have any or all of them. So I'm just going to go with the top 5 that affect me the most in a negative way. I'm also going to include not just physical symptoms like a doctor would observe, but also mental or emotional symptoms of CRPS, because I personally believe that those are just as important and impactful, if not more so, than the physical symptoms themselves. So without further ado, here is my top 5 list. Number 1 is quite obvious. It is the pain. The pain is the disease, complex regional pain syndrome. Your nerves are fired up at the very slightest touch for absolutely no reason. This symptom is otherwise known as allodynia, and allodynia makes something like this feel more like something like this. The slightest touch burns. The breeze burns. There is nothing I can touch, nothing that can touch me, no friction that can touch my right arm that doesn't cause extreme burning, similar to the feeling when you wax yourself, for those of you who've waxed. Only it doesn't go away and it lasts for, well, it's constant, but the flare-ups last for minutes at a time. And that pain forces me, that pain makes me debate doing the smallest things on a day-to-day basis. It makes me second guess whether I want to shower that day, because showering is the most painful thing I can do at all, because the jets of water coming down, in my arm are just unbelievably painful. And for those of you who've had terrible sunburns, remember showering it with them and how terrible that feels, and how you just want to stick your arm out of the curtain while the rest of you gets clean. Makes me second guess whether I want to change my clothes or if I just want to leave the same shirt on. Because taking clothes on and off is incredibly painful. Or just simple things like moving. Sometimes getting out of bed to go downstairs and get a meal is too much, because just moving my body, and as a result my arm, is overwhelmingly painful. I have literally gone days where I have missed or forgotten meals because I just don't have it in me to get downstairs and make myself a darn sandwich. So it impacts basically every decision that I make every day. It is the main focus of my day, all day, every day, because it's going on all day, every day, and I just gotta deal with it. So that's number 1. Number 2, and it's right up there, it's a very close second, and they're very closely related, would be the sleep deprivation that comes with being in pain. If any of you have been in pain ever, know that sleeping in pain, or even just discomfort, is crazy hard. You can't get comfortable. When you finally do, if you shift in your sleep, it hurts and disturbs you or wakes you up. That's my night every night. I haven't slept a full night through the night without waking up since 2012, when this whole thing began, other than being in the hospital where they give you drugs to help you be comfortable and sleep. Just imagine if you're sleeping with your partner and every 3 to 5 minutes he just poked you. Just every 5 minutes. You wouldn't really be able to sleep unless you're a really heavy sleeper, but if you were getting poked over and over again, eventually your body would get irritated and you would wake up. And that's just a poke. So imagine, like I said earlier, if you were getting waxed every 3 to 5 minutes. As you can imagine, it's even harder. I feel exhausted all the time. I don't remember what it feels like to wake up recharged. You know, if you've had that good night's sleep and you wake up and you just feel like we're just refreshed and ready to take on the day. I wake up and I feel just as tired as I did when I went to bed. So I really miss that feeling of being alert and energized, because it's something that you absolutely take for granted until you can't do it anymore. So factoring a pain issue into it totally changes the game. So while you're not supposed to have screens on at night, every now and then, if not even every now and then, more often than not, if I can't sleep, if I'm lying there in the dark and all I can think about is my pain, I'll have to turn the computer on and put something funny on just to have the noise of listening to it, to distract me until I'm able to fall asleep. So nothing about the way I sleep is healthy. Nothing about the way I sleep is practical or functional or beneficial to me in any way. And like I said, the pain and the sleep problems go hand in hand. One contributes to the other one. If I'm in a lot of pain, I have a tough time sleeping, and then if I have a tough time sleeping, that means that I'm in more pain because my body didn't get to rest and my nerves didn't get to rest. So then I'm in more pain the next day, and then I'm in harder time sleeping, and around we go. So it's a vicious cycle, and it's almost impossible to break, it feels sometimes. So there you have it. Number three. And this is also tied in. I mean, of course, they're all tied in. But when you don't sleep, you are in a really, really bad mood. When you are in pain, you are in a really, really bad mood. So put that together and you get cranky Rosemary way more often than I'd like her to be here. It makes you, of course, grumpy, irritable. It makes me sometimes talk to people that I love a way I would never want to. It makes me behave sometimes in ways that I never thought possible. And it's hard to realize that that is me. And of course, with pain, especially chronic burning pain, there comes a great deal of sadness with that, and want to try my best to, keep a lid on it. Every now and then I'm unable to, and every now and then it's, I think, good to let that out. I don't think it's a good idea to keep that all bottled up. But I don't like feeling as sad as I do, as often as I do. I remember being much, much happier, just on a regular basis, to the point where I would post about it on Facebook and how my life was so good, and it really makes me sad that I don't feel that way anymore, and I'm dying to feel that way again. And I know I will someday, but for now, while I kind of get a better handle on this disease, every now and then I gotta let it out, kind of like I'm doing right now. And now I gotta grab tissue. And I don't ever want to put that sadness or that anger or irritability on other people if I can possibly help it. So that makes me incredibly withdrawn. If I'm in a bad mood, I tend to just stay in my room and avoid people because they don't deserve to be treated the way that I probably would treat them that day, because I'm just so cranky, and my emotional reserve at that point is just zero. It makes me afraid to go out and interact with people because I'm afraid of what I might do if the pain gets too bad. So the mood thing is huge, obviously. So pain affects sleep, affects mood, and I want to do my best, and I try to do my best to be a source of joy, not only for myself, because I deserve that, but for others, because they deserve that. So struggling with this, seemingly uphill battle, it feels like it's completely upward. It's not uphill. It's like rock climbing as opposed to hiking. I just wish sometimes that I had a better handle on it, or that it would go away, if for no other reason than just because I don't want to treat people badly. They deserve someone who's ready to give and ready to be positive and just ready to take on the world and find the happiness within it. And like I said, I know I will get there someday, even though I try to do it every day. I will be successful someday, but for now, it's number 3. Number 4 would be brain power. And that means a whole lot of things. Part of this, I'm sure, is not just the pain, but also the medications that go with the pain. So it's definitely a combo of the two, but between the two, I just feel stupid. I have a tough time finding the words that I want to use sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. I trail off without finishing the end of my sentence because I've just lost my thought. I call it case doing because Kristen Stewart kind of patented that. I just feel dumber. I can feel that making those connections is harder. I can feel that, memorizing things and retaining information, whether it's from a book or just from word of mouth, is so much harder. I used to have a pretty decent memory. I could read a book and spit it back almost word for word as soon as I was done. Now I can only read for 10-15 minutes at a time before the pain becomes too distracting and I have to stop. And then when I come back to it, I remember 10 to 20% of what I read, so I gotta go back and read it all over again. So concentrating, not just on reading, but on pretty much anything, whether it's a conversation or a movie or a book, staying in that moment and being present is so difficult. Again, it just ties back to emotional reserve, where you just don't have it in you anymore to listen to a lecture or a class, so you have to turn that off and put something dumb on so you can kind of chuckle and think about something else. And you don't feel like you're, getting any useful information out of that because it's not meant for that. So then you feel bad because you're probably not educating yourself in that moment the way you could be. So that about wraps that up. Then last but not least, number 5 is what would seem unimportant compared to the other 4, and it really is. It's just kind of an added annoyance. Would be the sweating. I sweat like a man now. I am constantly sweating. I am constantly hot, no matter what the temperature is. I could go outside in the winter for a good 20 to 30 minutes in just a sweatshirt before I would probably feel chilly and feel the need to put a coat on. I have my window open in the winter and the AC on from like March to September or October. And I've gone through as many as 3 or 4 shirts a day because I just sweat right through them, which is a side effect of the CRPS for who knows what reason. And it requires me to do a lot more laundry. Which again is not nearly as important as the other 4 things that I've talked about. But it definitely just adds an extra annoyance to my day that I'd rather be without. So that's about it. That's the top 5 symptoms that I have the toughest time dealing with CRPS personally. If you have CRPS, I'd love to hear what your hardest symptoms are to deal with and what you do to help cope with them, because I will always take any advice on coping and managing this pain. And everyone else, I thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.